All right, so the big news today, Davante Adams got dealt.
Yes, sir.
Finally. Let's see if that hamstring heals up real fast as soon as he heads out of town. But Davante, it's been a rough stay with the Raiders up to this point. Davante wanted to come and play with his buddy Derek Carr. That didn't happen. And then it's been
you can see the
quarterback turmoil there, so to say. Jimmy Garoppolo was a failed experiment. Yeah. Just leaving Davante out there. You get smacked around constantly. What's your thought, man? So the trade went through for a third-round pick that could turn into a second-round pick. The terms are if Davante makes first or second team All-Pro, or if he's on the AFC Championship or Super Bowl active roster. Is this a win for the Jets, a win for the Raiders, a win for Davante? How are you feeling about this? Can't hear you.
So it's a win for Rodgers and Davante, I think, for sure. You know, they got what they wanted.
Yep.
I think, does it make the Jets better? I think, yes. Does it, at 2-4, does it matter a whole lot? I think that's kind of the question. I don't know. Davante Adams doesn't stop the Bills from putting up 150 rushing yards last night.
Davante Adams does. I think he's going to change the entire outlook of that Jet team. Garrett Wilson being your number 2 wide receiver at this point is just scary business. If Aaron Rodgers can't make it work if he can't make it work with those two, good Lord.
Yeah, I'm nervous about Wilson, especially fantasy-wise.
Why is that?
Because, Wilson has only been valuable this year because he's gotten so much volume. I would bet anything that Davante is going to get all that volume, and I don't think Rodgers is giving up his, Lazard love anytime soon either.
Oh, see, that's where we differ. Like, Lazard had, 7 targets last night? I think.
Yeah.
It instantly bumps Lazard down to wide receiver 3 in that room, right?
Theoretically, but I don't know if it does in practice.
That's wild if they get off of Garrett Wilson. If that's the case, trade him, right? Like, why would you hold on to an asset like that?
Because you got to try and come back from 2-4.
They're putting together like a Madden type roster. On paper, the roster is really nice. Star running back, 2 elite wide receivers. Aaron Rodgers theoretically should be a good quarterback. And then you got that defense, which should be a lot better than it is. I don't know that 2-4 is all that scary. There's a lot of season left, and AFC is relatively wide open. I like it. I think it's a good move for the Jets. I hope it doesn't just crater Garrett Wilson's value. You can look at it like it's going to crater his value because it's been a volume-based season up until this point. Or Davante's going to get all that double coverage and all the help that the defenses are sending his way and leave Garrett Wilson one-on-one. But we've seen Rodgers before. He likes to lock in on his guy and just feed. So, yeah, it's an Allen Lazard thing for you.
That's just part of it. I think, 2 weeks ago, Garrett Wilson got 20 targets and only had 100 yards.
Yep.
So, this is not a dynamic pass game to begin with, and then you're taking away a significant chunk of his volume, I'm assuming.
Doesn't adding Davante... So, the entire offseason, we had the discussion, do you want a number 1 wide receiver, or do you want just multiples? And we've been on the side of, like, I like the number one wide receiver. I like having the alpha there. And through 6 weeks, there's been a lot of rumblings about Garrett Wilson not being an alpha, blah, blah, blah. I personally think he's talented enough to be, but, each their own on their opinion. Now you throw a legitimate alpha male there with Davante Adams, a legitimate number one wide receiver. And in theory, doesn't that not open up the game plan for Garrett Wilson to better coverage, better opportunity?
I mean, in theory, I guess, but I don't like the defense that the Jets have been playing. They've been much more likely to load the box to take away Breece Hall than they have been to start, double covering Garrett Wilson. I don't think like he's going to get a ton of different coverages than what he's been seeing so far.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, prime example, like a team like Denver, Patrick Surtain. He's going to line up against Davante Adams now, right? He's not going to line up against Garrett Wilson. So in situations like that, we're still getting...
I also don't know if that's going to be the case. You think so?
I mean, Davante, you even said like the target volume is going to go down for Garrett because Davante, right? So Davante is the alpha, right? Can we agree on that? Davante is the alpha male now in the wide receiver room.
Yeah, but I think that's based on relationship and not talent.
So you think Davante has taken a step back?
Yeah, he's like 32.
And still awesome.
Yeah, he's really good, but he's not like the best receiver in the league like he was 4 years ago.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting situation how it plays out. In theory, I believe that the Jets offense can sustain 2 legitimate fantasy wide receivers, also while throwing Breece Hall his 5 or 6 receptions a game.
I mean, I think optimistically and ideally, yes, but they really haven't even been able to consistently sustain one elite wide receiver so far this season.
Yeah, it's wild. What does this do for the Raiders?
Brock Bowers to the moon, 28 targets a game.
Yes. I know. Love Brock Bowers. Yeah, that wide receiver room's a disaster there.
Kobe Myers is really good.
He's going to have to be really good. Yeah, I mean, beyond that, it's the hodgepodge of yikes. Yeah, should be a lot of Brock Bowers moving forward. Are the Raiders just like cashing in their chips right now?
Yeah, I would assume so. There's been a lot of talk about a Max Crosby trade, but I don't see that happening.
Really? There's rumblings of a Max Crosby deal?
Yeah, people just think that the Raiders are going full fire sale, but I don't think they trade Max. A lot of people like the Lions.
I was going to say, go to Lions. Go to the Lions. I don't think he's ever leaving the Raiders, to be honest with you. He is a Raider to the bone. And I mean, as soon as you even start contemplating that, your season is definitely over.
Yeah.
So